Hello, my name is Bill, and today I'm going to show you how to grill a great skirt steak because we're making beans and rice with skirt steak on it. It's excellent, it's really easy. It can be a bunch of leftovers for the beans and rice, and I'll show you that on the second half of this video. But first I want to get started on what you do when you buy a skirt steak. I don't want this to be overwhelming, it's really pretty simple. I went to my favorite butcher, Wassie's Meat Market. Got myself a skirt steak here. So skirt steak is this really long piece of meat. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how we're going to cut it up into sections. And I'm going to grill some of it today, and I'm going to prep some of it to freeze. So this is the grain. We're going to cut it with the grain so that when we finish grilling it, we cut it against the grain so it's not chewy at all. So I just want to get some nice small little pieces. Just kind of keep an eye on how the grain looks. See, just little. So, got nice pieces here. Get down to this thin piece. It's going to cook really quickly, and I'll be even daring enough to show you that on the video. So now I just want to pick out, I need like 3 pieces. Those skinny pieces don't really count for much. So I want to find a couple bigger pieces that I can get away with using. And so what do I have to do next? For the rest of it, got a little plastic bag, a little freezer bag. Just gonna put the steak in here. Skirt steak's excellent. It's like what they use, the best way to make fajitas. It's an excellent flavor. It grills really well. It's going to cook really fast. And what I need to do is I'm going to pour some olive oil in here. Keep everything from sticking. Kind of mush it around and make sure everything's kind of coated. Just makes it easier when you're thawing it. And now I want to get some of the air out. And this is ready for the freezer. Now these pieces, put on my plate here. Let's move this out of the way. I'm going to put a little of my Wassie's classic steak rub on here for a little flavor. All the Wassie's rubs are really great. And having a butcher shop that you work with is really nice because they know what they're doing. Just a little bit. Alright, so I'm getting this all put together, and we're going to run outside and grill it. I'll meet you outside. Alright, we're outside ready to grill. You want to have your grill as hot as possible because you're going to want a good sear on the meat. If you find the grill is starting to cool down while you're cooking, you can always close the lid to bring the heat back up. This steak is going to cook really fast. I don't need to cook it to death because once we cut it up, it's going to finish cooking as it rests. Like I said, this is really simple. I've got 4 little pieces. I've got some skinny pieces, so I'm going to get them on. We'll just move them around on the grill. Basically, I like to put the meat down, let it get a good sear. It's going to take about 30-40 seconds. Give it a 90-degree turn. Another, less than a minute probably. Then we're going to flip it and do the same thing. That's how we'll just get these really smaller pieces. There's only one piece that's a little fat, it'll take a little longer. And the other pieces I can just set aside. But remember, you want your grill really hot, so go on high heat. So let's see how this works. Close the lid so we keep that heat in here because the meat, it's not quite room temperature. And of course, for good food safety, I've got two plates. I've got the plate that I brought the meat out on, and I've got a second plate that we're going to take it back in on because we don't want to cross-contaminate, obviously, especially like with chickens or porks. I'm watching the heat coming up really quickly, so I know my grill's nice and hot. Just needs a second in there. Plus, by closing the lid, we're letting all those, the rub that we put on kind of work into the meat a little bit, a little extra flavor. We'll try it out, we'll see how this all works. Like I said, it's a beautiful day out here, a little breeze. Only going to sweat a little bit. It smells really good. Like I said, skirt steak is really common for fajitas. As long as you cut it this way, it's very tender. Just remember, because these pieces are so small, you really don't want to overcook it. There it is. Do a little 90-degree flip there. Should be this weather all year round. This is great. I'd be cooking out every day. Of course, I'm not usually cooking out during the day. I usually wait till dinner time, but I want to get some optimal sunlight so you can see how this all works. And I did put a new propane tank in so that we had plenty to cook through. It was getting a little low. The other question is it doesn't matter if you prefer to use propane or charcoal. I like to use both. I just find that I can control the heat a little better with propane, and I get a hot, really hot flame, especially on a dirty grill like this where there's a lot of debris in the bottom that's helping really roast. These have brass burners that really hold the heat, and this thing just gets really roasting. It takes about 20 minutes to get up temperature. Another thing you want to know is that pellet grills are great, but you don't tend to get that same sear, and it takes a lot longer to cook. It's a good sizzle here. This is a great lesson in cooking out, enjoying the beautiful day, planes flying overhead. It's always some distraction. I had to pay all my neighbors not to mow their lawn today, so I didn't have that distraction on top. So my thermometer is a little broken, but I can probably gauge it. That's probably sitting right about 450 to 500 degrees right now. That's plenty hot enough. That's why grilling is so much fun and so easy. It really cuts the time. It's not like you're kind of roasting the oven. Remember, you can always time your cooking by how many beers it takes to drink. You want a beer for each side, unless you're really fast, and that's 2 beers for each side. Okay, now we're doing a nice little sear on all of this. Like I said, some of these pieces are a little skinnier. I'm going to get ready to take them off in a second. Got a couple pieces of those. Need a little more. A little more. That'll be okay. So I'm going to pull these off to the side over here. Wait for these little guys. Give about 30 seconds and then we're done. Flies flying around. Very irritating. But if you gotta admit, the sun's beautiful. A little tan. Because pretty soon it's going to be too hot to do this. It smells really good. Now I'm going to take my clean plate. Look at this. Oh yeah. Doesn't that look lovely? All right, we're going to see you back inside, and let's get it put together. All right, I'm back. I have the skirt steak that I just pulled off the grill. Had to change my shirt because it was sweaty and smoky out there. So remember, we had the whole skirt, which is a long piece of meat, and we cut it, like I showed you before, into nice thin pieces. Now that it's cooked, what we're going to do is, if you imagine what the skirt looked like, what we're going to do now is we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to make these little cuts. So we're cutting across the grain, and that's to make it less chewy. That's basically all I'm going to do. It smelled so good when I was cooking it. It's so easy to grill. I just think this is something you can really easy do as long as you got a butcher that has good skirt steak, or even has skirt steak at all. Just make some nice little cuts. If you want to cut it crosswise again, you can. I don't mind eating these pieces. And as you can see, it's got a nice color to it. You don't want to cook it to death. The thing I find in a lot of Mexican restaurants, this is really sharp knife, so I shouldn't be looking up when I'm cutting, is that they tend to grill it really, really hard. And it's still tender, but it's just not as juicy. And I think they probably use, some kind of marinade, which you really don't need to do. I mean, like I showed you before, all I do is a little olive oil and throw it on the grill. That's all it takes. All right. So, to that, I have microwaved some rice. Put some beans on it. The leftover rice was just some stuff I had from a meal. You can use like these Bush's beans. They come in all sorts of flavors and styles. I just think they're so easy because basically you open the can, dish some on top, and I'm just gonna put some of this meat right on here. Dinner, so I can feed them all this thing. And I mean, doesn't that just look really yummy? And of course, we have lots of options. I love to top it with a little chimichurri sauce. This happens to be from Wassie's, my favorite meat market. They make the absolute best. I've tried hundreds of them. This stuff is the bomb. Or if you like, my favorite salsa, just put some on top. Like to top with a little bit of Bermuda onion, maybe some jalapeno slices, and of course, I like sour cream, love sour cream, eat sour cream with every meal, and you can slice up a little avocado. I'm going to nix the avocado for tonight, but if you're serving this at dinner, it's really nice. You can have a little layout of stuff for everyone to try. Be daring, try the chimichurri sauce. As you can see, I showed you, basically you take the meat, you cut it up small, so it's going to grill really fast. I'm going to grill it for a few minutes on a high. Brought it in, cut it up, put it on my microwave beans and rice, and had everything else ready, so it's essentially ready to serve at this point. I mean, how much easier can it be than that? And of course, just for the fact that it has a little steak in it, you might want to argue and say that this would go good. You could probably use any kind of red, like a Shiraz. I would use anything, but I found this $10 bottle of Pinot Noir. Absolutely love it, and I just think it would go great with my beans and rice with my skirt steak. The red wine just is great with the skirt steak, and this is actually what it looks like. This is a Rapateau Pinot Noir. If you go to my favorite box store, Total Wine, this is one of their favorites, and it's like $10, $11 a bottle. Can't beat it for a good red. So like always, comment, enjoy it, and please subscribe. Have a great day.